back to week 8 day. I almost said day 8, week 2 then. I'm getting a little bit mixed up. Week 8, day 2 of Hearthstone Global Games. I'm Falcone Punch? I'm getting very mixed up at the moment. What is this?
Yeah, Falcone Punch, Falcone 55 Punch.
I've just entered a time machine or something.
Back in good old 55.
Joined, as usual, by Lorinda. You just did a series that didn't go 3-0 today.
I know, I'm really sorry about that. I know you wanted a really short break, but with Shanadashi playing, it feels like it was 3-0.
Right. Well, it would be, of all people, world champion Pavel to end that trend, getting the first win on the losing side. Great to see. No surprise, really, though. Russia just doing what Russia does.
Yeah, Sotul picking a good team, Raven picking a good team. Well, who did you pick, Dan?
I picked Italy, and as you can see by the group, Italy are right at the top and will be the stars of the show in the next game. Unless you disagree. You want to?
Italy versus Chile, and Italy have been doing very well. They've been performing through this tournament. Maybe another of the teams that we overlooked a little. I thought Japan might be the best team to come through out of this group, and possibly Finland. But Norway have proved that they are strong, and Italy are proving that they can play the game.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I am. I say this every time that group pops up. I am a little bit disappointed with Finland, just because I love the teams that are very community-based. I think that's something that Finland and Italy have in common, though I'm thrilled at the results that we've had from Italy so far, and I hope to see them go 4-0 in the group.
Of course you do.
So it's kind of your job now to back Chile.
So I'll go back to Chile. Okay,
Yeah.
So Chile, Topo Pablo, got to top 8 of the HCT Americas Summer last year, a powerful player. We have also Machine, who a lot of people won't have heard of. He got to the top 8 of the Americas section of WESG, and he beat Zalay in that event. So
wow. Not
huge pedigree, not a huge number of big wins, but he has beaten top players before. And yeah, basically the other two players, Saitama, he reached the top 4 of the Copa America Winter this time around as well. Copa America, pretty much one of the only things that they have to fire at in South America.
Right.
So getting into the top 8 of that on a regular basis, and a lot of these players we've seen today have, is pretty good going, and that looks amazing. In fact, it looks like we're just in Ngoro.
Definitely got some achievements under their belt, Team Chile then. Team Italy, though, going to go through the names quickly, but come back to them as we go through the series. Innovan, Turner, Yorgmuth, and Snowman. Very much community-themed, as I said before. Very much on the ball when it comes to the competitive scene, especially inside Italy. And all 4 of these guys stream as well. Not all that often, some more often than others. Right. Again, I'll get into that soon. But worth checking out, especially if you speak Italian. I don't speak Italian. Do you speak Italian? No. It's very disappointing, really. Whenever anyone finds out that I'm half Italian, the first thing they say is, "Hey, does that mean you speak Italian?" I'm just like, no.
That's so weak.
Yeah.
Says the guy who speaks English badly, let alone Italian. But
do you speak any other languages, Neil?
Not PG ones.
Right. We both speak Hearthstone. Let's go with that. We speak Hearthstone as we take a look at the first matchup today. Don't forget, guys, this is the unique Hearthstone Global Games format. It's best out of 5. Each player on each team getting 2 different decks. The 5th player is one of the other 4 players repeated, if we get to game number 5, that is, playing their ace match, where they'll get to choose between one of the 2 decks they had earlier or a 3rd deck. Kind of complicated, but most of you are going to have your head around it by now. We've been watching this format for quite a long time. Trying to get our heads around it when it comes to matchups as well. It's one of these things where the mind games have been evolving week by week as players have worked out the biggest question, which is, where do you put that Warlock?
Yeah, a lot of people, probably over 50% of teams now, are putting the Warlock in that number 9 position, so they don't have to worry about it very often, mainly because Warlock is perceived as the weakest class. I think most people will agree right now. But we can see that Chile have decided to put it in the 2nd game, but they've put it alongside Paladin.
Paladin being, I know as you like to call it, one of the strongest classes in Hearthstone at the moment.
Right.
So it won't be a hard decision. Meanwhile, Italy have done, as you described, they've put it in with the ace match, so they're going to be choosing at some point between Mage or Warlock, or Paladin or Warlock. And unlikely that we're ever going to see that Warlock played, even if we do get to the ace match.
Italy going to go with Warrior here, and they're going to be taking on the Mage, and that will be coming up for you just shortly. Turner has been, is he the driving force behind this team? I know you've spoken bits and pieces with Italy?
I think that it's pretty even. Turner has a lot of achievements behind him. I've got top 8 European Spring Championship 2016. Yep. Quite a while back that, but a lot of, that means he's been around for a long time. He's got some achievements. He once tweeted that he finds Ben Brode's laugh infectious.
Wow. I obviously haven't been near enough to Ben Brode. I need to catch that laugh because that laugh is something I could do within my life daily.
More recently, though, and I believe this was only 2 weeks ago, he won one of the biggest events in terms of prize pool that they've ever had in Italy. Wow. It was called the La Spezia 3K Open.
Being a man, if you spoke Italy, Italy, you would know what that meant.
If I spoke Italy, yeah. That'd be very embarrassing if I got that wrong. Vitally, though, he won the Swiss with a perfect 9-0 score, and then went on and just clean swept the elimination bracket after that.
So he is still firing really rather well.
And this was when Snowman gave me this information, he said this was yesterday. I think he gave me this information for the previous time we'd cast him, which may have been 2 weeks ago now.
Like 2 weeks ago.
But the point is, it's recent. It's within the last month.
That's pretty impressive. People who win Swisses with perfect records, there's usually one per tournament. That's kind of how Swiss usually fills out, but even so...
Well, we tend to find with Swisses that the 8th seed ends up winning it, right?
Yeah, more so in some other card games where you're allowed to draw in the last round. But yeah, in Hearthstone, it has become a bit of a meme as well, and it does seem to keep on happening as well. Happened to Hoy recently, of course, and Maverick's probably still not too happy about that.
Right, well,
Maverick took it well.
As I jump into the game, it looks like it's going to be the Discover Mage, which we've seen so much of recently, versus Quest Warrior, which we've also seen so much of recently. No surprise, given how highly represented it was during the America's Spring Playoffs.
Talking point already then, to keep or not to keep, that is indeed the question.
The question, very good. You're on fire today, Neil.
Wow.
So we had this conversation yesterday. I thought the done thing was to throw the quest away and just rely on gaining armor to win the matchup. I don't recall who the player was. Was it Berserk? I think it was Berserkji.
Yeah.
Berserkji thought differently and decided to keep it. Turner also thinks differently. So guess I've just got some out-of-date information there.
It looks like that might be the case. Obviously against Freeze Mage, that may be a thing that you can do as well. Although we need to work out how that goes. Quests have been long the subject of much discussion because, well, long. They've only been in existence for 6 weeks, but they've been the discussion, and that's a credit to the design, I feel, that some quests you keep all the time, some quests you keep some of the time, some quests you don't play.
I mean, if we're talking about giving credit to the design team, just think about how when quests were first announced, people were saying, oh no, that means Hearthstone's going to be, the decks are going to be so restrictive. If you play Warrior, you're only going to want to play Quest Warrior, etc.
In fairness, the Warrior one is a little bit linear.
Sure, but what I mean is that there's also Pirate Warrior.
Sure,
you're not stuck playing the quest in every class.
Yeah, yeah. The quests and also things like Quest Rogue have evolved through many weeks of play now, and again, we're seeing today, even with Quest Rogue, even that has not reached stability yet. It's still being built on each and every week.
I'm still waiting with excitement about
what the newest Windows
going to be. And I would also quite like the newest Windows update, actually. I should probably go home and get that when we're done this week. So, Acolyte of Pain seems like a possibility. Going to go with the Stonehill Defender. That's the more obvious play, I think, this turn. Just go ahead, pick up your value. Stonehill Defender on 3 just seems to be a very common play nowadays.
Yeah, it enables you to just curve into, say, the Sen'jin here. It's, at one point, there was I think when the Stonehill first came out, people to some degree were keeping it as long as possible to say, oh, what do we need? Well, what we need is a 4-drop. Let's get one.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they should, because now they've got the option of 2 other fantastic choices, but the reason to play that is so you can curve through nicely.
Right, and specifically in the Quest Warrior, it's also 2 taunts for the price of 1. It's so much more progress towards completing the quest. The question is, why wait? And Italy agree with you. Turner going to go ahead, grab the Sen'jin Shieldmaster. And really, it's down to Chile to apply some pressure and try and get this game done and dusted before that quest is completed.
Right, and of course, there's 2 ways of applying that pressure. First of all, you try and apply it with the minions. Notice the Mana Worm's been in hand since the opening turn, by the way.
Disappointing, that.
And just sitting there not doing its thing, but Chile trying to get as much as possible on the board, and for Mana Worm they chose to dig the secrets out of their deck, which makes a lot of sense because it's such a nightmare draw.
Yeah, and if possible, they'd rather the Mana Worm just wasn't destroyed by a Fiery War Axe. If they can wait a little bit longer, maybe play it with some spells, so it's already a threat by the time a weapon would come in. Also, apart from the Sulfurous, Quest Warriors only run 2 weapons nowadays. Fiery War Axe being that's it. There's no Death's Bite anymore. That card's long gone. No Arcanite Reaper in this deck. Now that is interesting. This may be the first time we've ever seen Anomalous played in competitive Hearthstone.
Yeah, it's not always the choice. It is a good way of getting through stuff much, much later on, of course, just blowing those minions apart, especially if you hit it with a rag shot. Right. Just hit it, blow it up, kills all your own taunt minions. That could be a potential banana skin later for Italy.
Now, on the flip side, it would also probably destroy all of the Mage's minions, meaning that the Ragnaros Hero Power is more likely to do a lot of damage to the face. That's something that Saitama is going to be worrying about later. In the meantime, Turner just has to decide which 4-mana taunt minion to play.
Yeah, and in general, I think he might side with the Shield Master here. The Bloodhoof Brave can sometimes just turn its hand to attack a little bit after a Whirlwind or a Ghoul comes into play. But it can do that next turn as well, so he's going to just go with that right away. And I think they're, yeah, not even trying to trade. There's no point at all.
Gotta admit, my gut reaction was just the Bloodhoof Brave there, just because of how nicely it does trade with the Cabal Courier. I wasn't thinking in the long term, though. When I was making that decision, Turner decides that's the way to go regardless. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere. Unless there's a Fireball, that 2/6 is sticking around. It's probably going to get Enraged later, so I guess Turner decided better to play it sooner and just get its effect straight away and start pressuring the board. Meanwhile, Saitama, not really doing much at all, just going to go ahead and draw some cards.
Yeah, I'm deciding again not to play the Mana Worm again, not wanting to just get munched up by the enemy minions. And now he's got to decide if he wants to coin out Frostbolt, but that would take away from the Mana Worm, and he's just sitting there letting the warrior do what it likes at the moment.
It's not a word we like to use too often, but I would say that Saitama's hand is the definition of clunky right now.
A clunky hand. Yeah, it's not got a whole lot going on. It has got some future. The double ice block will allow a setup for a Pyroblast finish alongside a load of other fireballs and frostbolts later on. The warrior probably won't get much beyond about 30 health at any point. It's not like the olden days when you get to like 78 or something, back when I was a lad.
Back when you were a lad. Back when I was a lad, even.
Yeah, that was 78 when I was a lad. But anyway.
These warrior decks don't even tend to run shield block anymore. It seems as though Battle Rage has sort of come in and replaced it. They run Armor Smiths, though. Armor Smith is one potential way that Turner can pick up a bunch of armor, and it looks like he's going to hold on to that, maybe along with the Acolyte and the Whirlwind, and try and get as much value, as many card draws, and as much armor as possible at that time. In the meantime, I would say he's going to be low on decisions, but his board has curved out very well, and he's still got that Sentient Shieldmaster to play. Yeah,
one way to buy yourself some time to get these taunt minions played is to start hitting your opponent in the face.
Sure.
Whilst your opponent now can't... They don't have enough mana at 5 mana to develop a board, kill your stuff, and just turn the game on its head in one turn. And while they're busy trying to wriggle out of that, you're just playing more and more taunts and getting your quest completed.
Meanwhile, the Mage, finding use of his Frostbolt, finding a use for his Mana Worm, at least, hopefully, it's going to trade twice. Saitama is thinking, however, Turner's position just seems to look better and better. He's slightly off curve, regardless of what he... Well, he could play the Shieldmaster and Armor Up. The Ali Armor Smith is picked up slightly off curve. Ali Armor Smith Whirlwind might be a temptation.
Yeah, there's lots of choices, actually. You can play Armor Smith Acolyte Whirlwind as well.
Oh, I like that.
That draws you a card, gains you 4 armor. You can kill the Mana Worm if you want to.
I like
or
that
you
a
can
lot.
just hit 5 to face.
There is a coin there still in Saitama's hand, so if you were to make that play, there is the potential that Turner would be playing into a Flame Strike. That's something he'll be considering.
Is that even a problem? Like, if your Armor Smith gets another 4 armor, your Acolyte draws another card, and they pass their turn, do you even mind?
No.
That's kind of what I'm thinking here.
I guess you don't. You only really mind if you're letting the Mana Worm live. I think you're right. Worth noting last turn as well, Turner did play around the Meteor by having Stonehill Defender in the middle. Just a little nod to the fact that that card exists now. Turner, okay. This sort of a mix.
Fine as well.
Sort of a mix of both of our plays. Does play around the Flame Strike because the Sentient Shieldmaster would survive it. Gains some nice armor by making the trades. Plain and simple.
Yep, they don't need their cards right now, so they don't get their cards right now. There's no hurry to injure all your own minions, and they decide to play for value and just take that for later.
And the thing about that Flame Strike is that it's not actually present in Saitama's hand at the moment.
Right.
Frostbolt Ping might be a necessity here just to prevent Turner from building up more and more armor over time. That is just one of the ways that the mage is going to struggle to win this game if there is 20, 30 armor later.
Next turn they've got Anomalous.
They have got Anomalous.
Anomalous?
Anomalous.
Wow.
That's what that card could have
what
been
it's now
called in my
called.
head. Primordial Drake, just another Whirlwind effect that is going to gain Turner a lot of armor in the near future if the Armorsmith survives. But Ali Armorsmith armor up just looks like such a clean play here.
Yeah, the Ice Barrier buys an entire turn, basically resetting this turn, give or take a couple of damage.
Yep.
Ali Armorsmith makes a lot of sense, but the Anomalous is going to be a big, big problem for Italy when it comes down. But you know what's going to be a big, big problem soon is this quest. It's advancing rapidly.
It is, and we were talking about the potential of throwing away the quest. We were making the argument yesterday that warriors can often beat mages by just stacking up damage over time. But warriors can also beat mages by completing the quest on, what is this, turn 8, turn 9, whenever that's going to be finished.
Turner, a little bit worried about Mirror Entity here. He's not quite sure what he's up against yet because they've seen nothing happen. And I mean, they have seen the Cabal, so they've got an idea.
Yeah, and they've seen Ice Barrier, which probably reduces the chances of it being Mirror Entity a little bit. There's the fifth quest trigger right there. Eventually does go ahead and play the Armorsmith, and Italy are just going to be able to gain more and more armor. There's not much that Chile can do about it.
And Chile needs to stop playing for value right now and just sort this mess out. It's just got too much. And if they don't get these cards played, they're going to die with a handful of removal. And dying with a handful of removal against a deck that shouldn't be hitting you in the first place is a criminal thing to do.
So tell me, Lorinda, was this just incredible foresight, or was this a little bit of dumb luck that Anomalous is going to pick up so much value here?
I mean, you can predict it, right? If you take this card and then you play nothing for 6 turns, you can predict the warrior's going to try and hurry up and put all his stuff on the board. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt here and say, yeah, sure, they played for this.
Okay, Turner going to just use the opportunity, get some card draw. It looks like he's going to play the Whirlwind as well, just to gain an extra 6 armor. That's pretty significant. 6 armor here, at least another 6 armor when the Anomalous goes off, depending on which trades are made to get rid of it.
Yeah, they may even have to Frostbolt the Armorsmith, which would be a very sad state of affairs. Again, I'm not saying I agree with playing this way from Chile, but I think it's what they have tried to set out to do in conjunction with a pretty horrible hand.
It's worked nicely as long as he can later get Medivh the Guardian to put a big late game board down. Seems to be the win condition at the moment. For some reason I was expecting the trade there. I was absolutely wrong. Turner going to use the opportunity to put Saitama down to 14 health.
And you've got to decide now if you Frostbolt this Armorsmith, it actually is the equivalent of Frostbolting Face for more.
Yeah.
Because you're saving 6.
But this works too. Allowing Turner to get more armor up, sure, but hopefully he can use the Frostbolt to help keep control of the board later on.
Right.
I think Medivh the Guardian has to come down this turn. That'll be the reason the Frostbolt wasn't used.
Yeah, there's no other way to win this game now other than to get some decent Medivh stuff and flood the ball. Hope your opponent doesn't, whatever that is, doesn't have a brawl, doesn't have any mass removal. And as it stands, the Medivh is going to at least cause a bit of a pain.
47 health is not something you tend to see warriors with nowadays.
Right.
Not very often anyway. We're 5 out of 7 still through the quests.
What now?
Not quite there yet, though. And this Medivh is going to do some work by the looks of things. Saitama would love to pick up a Firelands portal right now.
Yeah, Medivh going to do some work, which is about the first time he's done some work. He's busy throwing parties and annoying the guests most of the time. I know it's not his fault, but it seems to be what he does.
I'd say it's his fault.
There's plenty of damage available here for Italy. But none of it is really adding up how they would like it to. So they're going to start with a slam and see if they can get into something more useful. That's more useful.
That's pretty darn useful.
That's going to work well.
Stocking up your hand with a second Primordial Drake, possibly a second Direhorn Hatchling, although this play would indicate there is no second Direhorn Hatchling.
Right.
He's going to let the Direhorn Hatchling die first and then use the Curator to pull the Direhorn Matriarch out of the deck.
And even if there is a second one, there's still a better chance of at least getting that Matriarch. Yep. So either way, will come in handy.
Meteor finally being picked up by Saitama. One of my favorite cards in the expansion, I have to say. It might be worth playing here just to summon the 6-drop.
You just want to see the animations in gold.
What to do? What to do?
I believe the average stats of a 6-mana minion is somewhere around 5 attack and 6 health.
Okay.
It's slightly higher than that if we're going into decimal points. I think I'm rounding down. These are stats that we know because of Doppelgangster Revolve being such a relevant thing nowadays.
What to do?
So,
What to
this forces through 7 and preserves your Fireball if they go with a Meteor. On the downside, you've used your Meteor to kill a 3/6.
Yeah. Fireball is also an option, but it means you're wasting burn that cannot be used on the face and only summoning a 4-mana minion. I do like the Meteor here. Let's see what the Atiesh picks up.
Just act.
5-7, above average.
Seems decent. And that health is also handy as well with no execute in hand here for Italy. Oops.
Oh my goodness, what a top deck from Turner. Going to use that to blow up the Atiesh, draw some cards. Only problem is he's not guaranteed to complete the quest this turn if he plays the house.
He's not, and he's going to take a beating for one more turn, but he's got bonus armor.
Yeah.
Like, normally you haven't got this 41 in the first place. He'll be more than happy to just get a bunch of cards and just treat this as a bonus.
Well, Tar Creeper plus armor up is an option. Would have maybe liked to see a Dirty Rat so he could play it and then equip the Sulfuras, but this will have to do. Turner discussing with his team now. What is the right card to play this turn? Is it ever Fiery War Sleep with the Fishes?
It could just be Tar Creeper Fiery War Axe if they think that next turn they're going to need the mana to do other things.
Right.
For instance, next turn they might want to Primordial Drake, Sleep with the Fishes, and hit something. If they go for the armor, obviously that's handy against the mage. You want to armor up as many times as possible. But when is this War Axe going to be useful if you don't use it soon? Because Sulfuras is going to be in your hand for a significant amount of time.
We're just pressuring the face now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that Ragnar's hero power is not going to take many hits to deal with the mage. And Turner is in the uncommon, I think, position where he's got the quest completed and he doesn't have to worry about his health. He's still got 41 health remaining.
Yeah.
Usually, again, in this specific matchup, the warrior has to be a little bit careful and keep armor up. But here, Turner might be able to get away with just equipping the Sulfuras.
Might, but look at these chunks of damage that are flooding in. That's 12 to the face every turn. This needs dealing with, and it needs dealing with now.
It does. So Ravaging Ghoul Sleep with the Fishes doesn't actually clear anything. Primordial Drake Sleep with the Fishes will leave just the Defias Cleaner alive.
Which can then be cleaned up using the axe that was equipped up last turn.
Looks like that's what Turner's going to go for. Defias Cleaner, still a very weird name in my opinion. A few weeks ago, me and Soto had a disagreement. He thought it was called that, I thought it wasn't. He was right, but I don't know. Seems different.
Moral of the story, don't argue with Soto.
That is the moral of the story.
Because you're never right, even if you're right.
Yeah. Rip.
Exactly. Okay.
Pyroblast does make things seem a little bit more scary for Team Italy there. As how much burst damage is that? That's going to be 19, 20 damage with a ping.
Remember, they have that second block as well, so they can spread it out over a lot of turns. They can get 2 pings weaved in, and if they do start threatening the health total, then Turner's going to be very reluctant to play the Sulfuras, but he's going to have to.
Yeah, depends how quickly he wants to put Chile on the clock here. Sulfuras plus hero power has a high chance of popping the block next turn, but is just armoring up over and over again a more comfortable win condition.
Okay, Chile just going to go for this intellect. Now they know how much damage they have available.
Not
They're going to
quite,
weave in pings, and they're going to primordial glyph as well. And then they can work out exactly how to weave in this stuff they need to weave in.
Tome or Arcane Intellect, both must be quite tempting here. Gonna go with the Tome, higher potential for more damage drawn. Medivh's Valet going straight to the face, no surprise at all.
Yeah, and pinging face as well, setting up the lethal of Fireball, Frostbolt, Ping, Pyroblast. That's 20. Obviously, there is armor available for Italy, but probably only once if they want to get Sulfuras rolling.
So despite that Armor Smith giving Turner around 15 armor, maybe more,
yeah,
he's still in this horrible position where despite what I said 2 turns ago, it's not safe to play the Sulfuras.
Yeah, and Chile can also just be aware of their Cabalist Tome. They've only going to be 1 or 2 damage short anyway. They can let that Tome do its thing and have a good chance of drawing some more damage.
Yeah, Turner's going to need to pick up a shield block or another Armor Smith very soon, if he even runs shield block. Actually, going to go ahead, pop the ice block right now on 3. Let the race begin. Though, from what we can see, Italy actually win the race just.
Right, so Chile needs to draw damage this turn, and then the race changes significantly.
Does Gluttonous Ooze change the race as well? No, I don't think
No, so they have to play the block. That leaves with 7 mana available. 6 of that mana can be spent to hit the opponent in the face for 9. Unfortunately, that is not enough. And it is actually short anyway. I was thinking they get the ping and they cannot. So they're going to be 3 short over the turns. Might be time to play Cabalist Tome and see what else they can pick up, and then they can plan their turns better.
Yeah, while you've been talking through those plays, I was trying to work out every combination of cards you could play with Gluttonous Ooze, but no, it makes no difference whatsoever. That ice block does make a difference.
With a second Frostbolt as well at the same time, so now they can ice block and then they can Fireball face. Someone on the team needs to check if they need to Frostbolt ping to save extra damage. Then they get another ice block and they get to do the same sort of stuff again, and then they get to Pyroblast face.
Yeah, they're quickly doing the math, so I can't see that it matters too much, as next turn can be Fireball plus Frostbolt plus Ice Block anyway. Gonna just go ahead, Frostbolt ping. That does seem the most efficient way, and Turner out of ways of gaining armor, out of time.
Right, then next turn just becomes Fireball face, play another block, and unless Italy are playing shield block in their deck, they're not going to be able to gain any armor, unless they've got a second Armor Smith, maybe.
Second Armor Smith, but Ravaging Ghoul just being used up, which reduces the potential armor gain of the second Armor Smith slam.
Ali Armor Smith as well would do it, because they'll be able to still play that and attack for 2 on the next turn, as long as they didn't mess up their ordering.
So it would have to be picked up now by this slam and then played straight away.
And honestly, I think it's Italy's job to read here that they need to find a way to get some armor, and they need to do it now. They're going to proc the block as often as they like. That's not an issue.
So it's slam or bust. Going to do it. Going to slam the Ravaging Ghoul. Good to see.
There's an Armor Smith, and they've got Sleep with the Fishes in their hand, which means
that
they can gain a whole bunch of armor. Is it going to be enough?
What a janky turn coming from Turner here, blowing up his own board, getting an extra card draw too, but most importantly, gaining 3 armor.
Okay, Turner successfully recognizing the danger there. And now it's down again to whether Chile can pick up something of use to do that extra point of damage. Maybe the missed ping that they could have done last turn will matter. I don't think it was a missed ping, though, to be fair.
Polymorph now, not going to do any... He can polymorph away the Armor Smith.
Okay.
But then that's 4 mana you're not spending on the opponent's face. Ice Block has to come down. I think Fireball has to happen. In that case, there's no mana to play the Polymorph, so never mind.
And they've run out of ways to sneakily get new cards, and it looks like they're not going to be able to do this. Of course, if they can... What can they draw next turn? Maybe another Glyph into a Cabalist Tome again.
Is there another Ice Block? I feel as though there must be another Ice Block.
There could be another Ice Block. A lot of these Ice Blocks were generated by things.
It looks like, right now though, Turner, by the skin of his teeth, have picked up just enough armor. How relevant earlier did that Armor Smith plus Whirlwind turn out to be?
Right, and they did have the option to Frostbolt that, and those Frostbolts ended up going face.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe they didn't deal with a minion with that Frostbolt at any point. That's 3 extra health.
Yeah, the Frostbolt being used on the Armor Smith sooner would have meant that Medivh the Guardian couldn't have come down early enough.
Right, that's another issue. That Medivh did a lot of damage, so almost certainly the Frostbolt would have been wrong, because Medivh ended up doing like 14 or something. So you're absolutely right there that Medivh was the correct play, because they didn't have enough mana for both.
So Tama actually just holding on to his Fireball there, actually favouring getting rid of the Armor Smith. I guess he's thinking if he can pick up Ice Block next turn, then he could go Fireball Ping, and then... Fireball, Ice Block, Ping, and then maybe get some more damage after that. Maybe with a Leroy from the Firelands Portal or something, although it's looking less and less likely for Chile as time goes on.
Yeah, it's can't see anyway now unless Firelands Portal produces a giant elephant that heals him for 17 or something. I can't see how they get out of this.
What to do?
Both Ramp Shield.
What to do?
Showers in.
That'd do it. Sheridan's the wrong mana cost.
Okay.
Nice try, though.
See what ends up coming out of this portal. I doubt it's a giant elephant. The card does not exist.
Not yet. I think that's a good expansion idea, though. You should.
It's a giant rhinoceros!
Oh, that's almost an elephant.
That'll do me. As far as I'm concerned, that's good enough.
You should totally recommend that to Blizzard. I think they'd listen. Giant elephant that heals
I
you.
think anyone's going to listen to my suggestions for card names.
5 mana, 10/10.
So, 1-0 to Italy.
1-0 to my team. Congratulations, Turner. Following his great win from that tournament, now with another win in the Hearthstone Global Games, looking like a great start there for my team. Have I mentioned that Italy's my team enough times?
Have you picked a team in this tournament?
Yeah, it's Italy. Did you not know? Did you not
I didn't
listen?
know. I think everybody's just cheating. Everybody's just picking teams that are winning and winning and winning.
You've got 2 teams.
And they won some games.
Yeah, yeah.
They're both still in. That's all that matters to me. I can't remember what they are now. I'll tell you another day.
Next up, though, it's going to be Nifu versus Yawgmoth. As we can see, it's going to be Paladin versus Shaman, this age-old matchup that seems to be very common in the Hearthstone Global Games. I don't know if I'm imagining it, but I feel like I cast this one a lot.
Yeah, it seems that for whatever reason, and it's pretty much blind luck the way they run into each other in the pairings, Paladin and Shaman have been bashing heads a lot this weekend. They might bash heads again in Game 4, you can see that as well. Just how the lineups are coming out. But Shaman has got a very good record at the moment. It's well situated in the meta. It's pretty much been designed to do well in the current meta. And it will be interesting to see how long it maintains that spot, because every time Shaman's sort of stuck its head above the parapet in this meta, it's been shot down again.
Right. Now, while some of the other guys, just to quickly bring up Yawgmoth for a second, while some of the other guys on Team Italy are more the grinders, more the competitive players, Yawgmoth is the streamer of the team. Now, I say that, all 4 of them stream, but Yawgmoth is the professional streamer, so to speak, of the team. This is the guy that wants to be a streamer for a living. That's his life goal. That's his dream right now. So again, if you speak Italian, do check him out. I'm sure you'll have a great time. And that's what he's about. So he's going to be relying on the prowess, I think, of his team, the more competitive bunch, to bring him forwards and take this win.
Yeah, and if you've got to still have a certain level of skill just to stream this game, otherwise nobody's going to watch it. He won the Italian Spring Cup in 2016, which netted him at $1111.
1111.
I don't know how that's just some sort of exchange rate thing.
1,111 is
yeah,
what I
that
get.
many dollars.
Okay,
4 figures of dollars. So it wasn't a small event, is what I'm trying to say there.
He also plays for Team Atrax, along with 3 of his Hearthstone Global Games teammates, or 2 of his
Because hey, that's all of them.
along with 2 out of his 3 Hearthstone Global
Right.
Games teammates, Innovant, Snowman, and himself.
That's how 2 works.
Numbers, Neil. I've completely lost my numbers.
Frostbolt amount of damage is 2. We all know that.
Oh man, that was last week, right?
I did that one day. I've done them all. All right, so looking forward to getting into this Paladin versus Shaman. We have seen it a lot. But like I say, Shaman is in an interesting place in the meta. It is evolving as we speak across Hearthstone's
Yes, that is Shaman.
Hearthstoning.
You said evolve for the right class that time.
I did it on purpose this time.
I thought you did, yeah. Yeah, it's
Unlike this conversation, which is devolved.
it's looking like it is going to be the regular, control-y, slow Jade Shaman that we've seen much more than the Evolved Shaman in the Hearthstone Global Games over this week, versus a Paladin of some kind.
A Paladin of some kind looks like a slow kind to me, with that Outdoor Peacekeeper not necessarily finding its way into all of the decks these days because he's a little bit slow and messes around with the rules and nobody likes him much.
He does the opposite of mess around with the rules. He tells people to follow the rules.
Yeah.
Apparently the rules are have 1 attack.
Yeah, unless you're that frothing berserker earlier who just said, I don't like your rules.
It's very strict. Very strict card. Yeah, Outdoor Peacekeeper doesn't necessarily find his way into the aggressive Paladin decks too often, but I wouldn't say that he's limited to only the late-game control builds.
Right.
He can appear in a lot of the mid-rangey Murloc decks too. Stonehold Defender and Ragnaros Lightlord are very similar. In fact, Rag Lightlord can appear in even the aggressive decks, really.
Double Rockpool Hunter, but no Murlocs in sight for turn 1, other than the other Rockpool Hunter.
Yeah, but no coin, though, on the top. So not going to be able to play 1-1 and 1-2, unfortunately. Though that's a pretty nice pickup to get on turn 1. Rockball Hunter's going to turn that into a 2-4 quick smart.
Yeah, this is going to be such a grindy game now. Italy have got enough. I was going to say they got enough early, but Maelstrom Portal's not that good against Murlocs, oddly enough. It's really good against Pirates, but Murlocs tend to get out of range a little bit quickly. But they have got Halazeel into Volcano at some point, should they survive that long.
Spirit Echo. We haven't seen Spirit Echo used today, I think. We know it's been in the decks, but it just hasn't come at the right time. And I don't think this is an exception. Yawgmoth's got the Spirit Echo, but nothing to Spirit Echo.
That is a problem with this card. It's a card you don't really want until much, much later in the game, but then you get your Jade Chieftain and you want it immediately.
Yeah,
so
right.
you don't know when you need it, which makes it a little bit awkward, which is why sometimes there's only one in the deck.
Yeah.
And some people find it's such a powerful card they want two in their deck.
It's probably not too horrible with Halazeel either, much later on. Yawgmoth is going to need very quickly to pick up a way of dealing with this board. Well, I say pick up, he's got the Volcano in hand, he's got 2 Maelstrom Portals, but without spell damage on the board, 2 Maelstrom Portals won't be enough, and Volcano is still 1 mana too expensive. Devolve does look tempting here.
Tempting, but the only downside of playing Devolve now is it doesn't deal with maybe a Finger later on, or maybe a Murloc War Leader, so you want to use it sparingly to some degree, but you're under a lot of pressure. Yeah, just do it.
A Wisp and 2 1-drops. Oh, one of those 1-drops is going to get buffed by other Murlocs,
Right,
and another one is going to do some buffing of his own.
Yeah, now you have to consider coining out the portal, because that is actually not the 1-drop you're looking for.
That is not a good Devolve. That is not what you want to see against a Murloc deck.
Just to point out that Rallying Blade again in Chile's hand. This card's been played more and more just because it fits on curve better. And the obvious answer, it comes down a turn earlier as well. The Megasaur's going to get some value.
That's so tempting. You have to just drop it and buff up that Tide Cooler. Not in the way he was expecting to be buffed up, but it's going to be Divine Shield, 3 attack, or can't be targeted. I think you've got to go for the attack. I think you're on full-on aggression here. Divine Shield saves you from a Lightning Storm, maybe?
Remember, you've got the Murloc hero power, so Divine Shield keeping it alive and making it bigger
That's true.
+1 every turn is definitely worthy of consideration. But they go with your play and just go, you know what, let's get the 3 in while we can.
My play is win the game as fast as possible, I think, at this
Seems
point.
a good plan.
Double Maelstrom Portal a possibility from Yawgmoth here. Coin Volcano also a possibility that would clear the entire board, although that does reduce his maximum mana next turn to 3.
Yeah, that probably isn't where he wants to be. It's a choice between double Portal now, I think, while you still can in case a War Leader comes up, or the other option is just to play the Tidal Surge on a Megasaur, yeah. But that feels like it can wait. If you don't get rid of the Murloc, well, there's only one Murloc, I guess.
It's one Murloc, but it's going to get buffed by every other Murloc play. Looking at playing the coin, I can only see Volcano as being the follow-up there.
Yeah, I mean, you sometimes will occupy the board with a card with the stats of Halazeel, but occupying with exactly Halazeel doesn't feel like it's going to get you anywhere.
Okay, so the plan here, I think, is to then go ahead and play Doomsayer next turn.
Right. If
he can get the Doomsayer to proc, then that's pretty much a full reset on the board, and that will then allow Italy to play the Halazeel onto an empty board. However, Finger coming down, Yawgmoth looked visibly frustrated at that.
Yeah, and the Terrimator is going to turn these both into 3/3s and draw a bunch of Murlocs.
Yeah, the Terrimator, very good. Oh man. Is that good? No, I don't think I like that one.
Gaskin liked it. That's why I tried it again. So we're 1-1 with Terrimators.
Let us know in Twitch chat. Give us a capper if you enjoyed the joke.
Oh my goodness. Now you've done it. All right, let's see what we get from this Finger, which turned out to be really good earlier for Russia as well in this. And yep, that qualifies as good.
Yep, when it summons a War Leader, it's good. Cairn Bloodhoof would indicate that this isn't a deck that we thought it was, or at least that I was suggesting it was at first. Not necessarily Jade Shaman, but just N'Zoth Shaman.
Yeah, there's N'Zoth much way back from here if they play the Cairn. How on earth do you start to get back from this now? Tidal Surge is the obvious start.
I think you have to Maelstrom Portal as well, just to get rid of the Finger, which is kind of okay. You've removed a lot of damage from the board. You had a nice little charge there. You've removed a lot of damage from the board. You've also healed back up to 24. It's not too bad. And if the later into this game Yawgmoth gets, like, he's only going to get more and more favored over time, especially if he ever can get that Azoth down.
Yeah, you get a 1-drop as well at no extra charge. Okay, Kodo's interesting here.
1-drop the Tabata gets stomped.
So many ways to deal with all this.
This works too.
And again, just doing what you were saying. Let's ignore the board. Let's just hit our opponent in the face.
White Eyes, typically very common in these decks that also run Cairn because of the N'Zoth as well. Unfortunately, Yawgmoth is lacking his board clears now. He's only got 1 Maelstrom Portal remaining in hand. There should be a Volcano and 2 Lightning Storms still in the deck, but that's no good right now.
Ancestral Spirit's going to make it a pain to get through. That's 10 additional health even before we start.
Yep. And then N'Zoth later would bring back 2 White Eyes and shuffle 2 more Storm Guardians into the deck. Storm Guardian is a 5-mana 10/10 with Taunt, in case you didn't know.
It's a lot of health.
Out of my jungle.
Yeah, this needs to be good.
It's not.
It's not good enough, that's for sure. Psychotron can be played this turn. That's one advantage, I guess.
Psychotron's just like a slightly smaller Sunwalker.
Yeah, I guess it is. Never thought of it that way.
Just feels poorly statted. Losing 1 attack with Divine Shield actually does make a big difference because high attack minions with the Divine Shield are very, very effective.
And yeah, just choosing to play the Rallying Blade or nothing instead, one or the other. Rallying Blade does get through everything, right? They can actually get 10 damage through this way.
Yeah, even more so. Oh no, they can't. They can't. That's it. Exactly the trades.
My life for Aya.
Though, Maelstrom Portal now looks much more appealing.
Yeah, Italy have managed to find a use out there. There is N'Zoth the Corrupted, so... Corruptor.
Corrupted?
Corrupted. I said corrupted. I'm losing the plot.
You're corrupted.
I hate my life. Okay.
Halazil plus Maelstrom Portal must be tempting here. Cairn plus Maelstrom Portal also tempting just to get that N'Zoth value. Though N'Zoth already bringing back 2 5/5s with taunts, it's looking like it's going to be great as long as Yawgmoth gets to turn 10. That should be top priority now, just getting to turn 10.
So how's the best way to do that? Is it with Halazil and Maelstrom Portal, or is it by rolling the 1 in 4 chance of getting the Wrath of Air totem?
Looks like he's going to go for Halazil, healing himself back up once again to 22. It also means that Nefu is going to have to trade this away. You can't just let Halazil live, especially when you're taking an aggressive line as we're seeing Team Chile do.
Hey, he's going to take his time.
Okay. All right, well, the board is still going to trade away Sunkeeper Tyrant nicely. Still reducing damage from the board. Still baiting out the trades. This works very nicely. I hadn't spotted that play, I've got to admit.
Oh, the equality. You know if you use it now. So you're expecting another Volcano next turn? Or a Lightning Storm?
Right.
Or you're expecting a lot of healing. So you can equality. You know that you're going to probably lose this game. You now have to say, right, what does Yawgmoth have in his hand that we can beat? Like, which of these cards could possibly exist in his hand? Well, you know one of them is the boar, so there's only 3 cards to worry about. Let's just hope they're not N'Zoth, and let's hope they're not some other cards, and then we can win, and then make a strategy accordingly. So this turn will likely come out really badly.
Yeah, there's not going to be any playing around N'Zoth. It doesn't look like they're even playing around Volcano, as a Volcano here would perfectly clear everything. No, it'd be... No, now it'd be a little bit off of clearing everything.
This is actually really clever. This sets up that if you haven't got the AoE, we can destroy a lot of stuff.
Well, there's the AoE.
1, 2, 12, 16, 17 with the Divine Shield.
So the Staggerdarn almost certain to survive this. Psychotron and Stonehill Defender also quite likely. But if played with the Maelstrom Portal, Yawgmoth does have a way of clearing everything.
Yeah, it looks like that is where he will end up going. Obviously, if you play the portal second, you end up getting the minion. But if you play it first, your minion will die. But if you play it second, there is a chance that it doesn't clear up. So,
though,
we're just too eager, Dan. We're just too excitable. We want to kill things.
Okay, well, Maelstrom Portal on its own actually does a lot here. It's going to heal Yawgmoth for 8, not 10, unfortunately, because the Divine Shield's there preventing that little bit of healing. But that worked.
Absolutely plenty. The only
Who needs Volcano?
slight negative of this, and it is a tiny negative, you probably never play Volcano all game, but that's because you win it.
Spike Ridge Steed now looking like the most obvious play. Stampede and Kodo could be used to get rid of the 2-1 stealth, the Worgen Infiltrator. And there's no clean way of getting rid of everything. That's the problem, because Chile would have to trade away the Wrath of Air Totem to get the guaranteed kill on the stealth minion.
Right.
But then he doesn't have the damage to get rid of Halazil, and getting rid of Halazil seems very important to me.
Yeah, I mean, we can see from where we're sat that this game, I'm kind of happy to say this game is over, but unfortunately for Chile, they don't know that, and they're going to have to put quite a lot of effort into surviving this.
We could be getting close to our next 3-0 of the day. I'm jumping the gun a little bit there, but I got faith in Team Italy.
Team Italy have been a good team, not just for the 3 wins, but they are +5 as well. They've had results so far. They beat Norway, who are one of the teams we've been touting as doing well, 3-1. They beat Japan, possibly the best team in the group, 3-1, although again, Norway and Finland will say something about that to me. They beat Finland 3-2. They have beaten the 3 teams with the named players in. They've beaten them all, and now they're taking on Chile, so there's no reason at all. If you beat those 3 teams, why can't you beat this team?
That's very, very true. They just seem to be a force to be reckoned with, potentially going 4-0 in the group today. Maybe Team Italy could be the first to go 5-0 in their group, as we've not yet seen that in the Hearthstone Global Games.
Yeah, and there's not many chances for that to happen left.
No.
We won't talk about any Stars and Stripes related teams. But
The Malaysia yesterday being
Sure.
the big one that...
that springs to mind immediately.
Don't know what you were talking about.
All right, so despite saving the equality here, Chile most likely aren't going to be able to get through this stuff with enough of their own deck intact that they can ever win the game. Equality comes with the consecration. That is going to give them a chance to force some damage through at least, but the Volcano will level the playing field if needed.
Scary thing for Team Chile to be thinking about right now is that there are 3, well, there are now going to be 3 5-mana 10/10s, all snugly up in Yawgmoth's deck. So they're going to get picked up quite soon, and because they're only 5 mana, it means they can be played with a Manatite Totem or with a Volcano. I don't mind the idea of just Cairn and Stone to Spore here, actually, though Lightning Storm, I think I like that a little bit more.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
What's he play with the Lightning Storm? I guess just Manatide Totem and Totem up. Stone to Spore going to allow Yawgmoth to deal some damage to the Stagadon with the Lightning Storm rather than just the Annoytron. Psychotron, sorry, different card.
Same idea, different card, just like the corrupted version.
I always say this, but he looks like a Murloc.
Looks like a Murloc.
Psychotron, it's the green hair, it reminds me of Murloc War Leader.
Right. I noticed you were talking to the artist the other day. Did you ask him?
Didn't actually. And he is the artist for Psychotron as well.
Exactly. So yeah, you could have had a bit of a chat, worked it out.
Should have done. Rag Lightlord actually a bit of a threat now that Yawgmoth's going to have to... Oh, there's his answer. The problem was for him, before the Hex was picked up, that Volcano's awkward when you've got a Cairn on the board.
Right.
You're going to be blowing up your own minion, not necessarily dealing as much damage as you want to the other side of the board. The only thing he'll be thinking about, though, is, do I have to save Hex for a Tyrion?
So we were assuming that... Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we were assuming that Storm Guardian was just going to wrap this up, but it doesn't wrap it up if it doesn't appear.
It doesn't. Like I said, there's 3 of them just like hanging out together. Could be at the bottom of the deck though.
Guarding some storms.
Guarding some storms. They're too busy for the likes of this Hearthstone game. Volcano going to happen anyway. Clear up everything, and that worked out fine. He's still got to save the Tyrion. He's still got the Hex that he can save for the Tyrion. There we go. There's Storm Guardian number 1.
And we're back as we were. It looks like Yawgmoth's having a little chuckle to himself there. And is a good spot now. But they've been in a good spot for several turns.
Oh, there's Storm Guardian number 2.
There's another Storm Guardian. Number 2.
Yeah. And there you go. Just a reminder, though, it's on the board, plain as sight. 5 mana 10/10 was shuffled into the deck when White Eyes was destroyed. White Eyes
and
is
again.
death metal.
and again.
Yeah. No more time. That's enough. But yeah. Noble Sacrifice might be the only option here. Getaway Kodo not represented in this selection, unfortunately.
Just to point out, if Chile lose this, they are out.
Just out entirely in the global
I
games?
believe so. Norway and Italy would both have more wins than Chile could possibly get. Israel would have to beat either Italy or Chile to guarantee them out. But also then Finland would also be in the equation. They might have some sort of chance, but it wouldn't be very pretty. Next week, Chile take on Israel on the Wednesday, and the week after, Italy take on Israel on the Tuesday.
Wow. It's funny how it's worked out, how these guys have both played all the same teams so far, as
Right.
Chile have beaten Japan, but lost to Finland and Norway.
Right. Yeah, so if you're an Israel fan, June the 7th, June the 13th are the dates you need to see if your team can get through. They're 2-1, as I'm just going through the motions while this happens. And if they win both of those, if they win one of those, they should be through. If they win both of them, they will definitely be through. And that will then round out the dates for the first phase after Israel have finished.
Funny that Eye for an Eye was picked up there by Chile, actually. I think that Italy will have a good idea as to what it was, too, because Noble Sacrifice would have procced, Redemption, Getaway Coda would have procced. It's either Repentance, which means he can't play the Storm Guardian, or it's Eye for an Eye, which means this Storm Guardian really can't go face.
Yeah, there's a cheeky smile on Nephew's face. He knows that he's trying it on a bit here.
It would just win the game as well. If the Storm Guardian attacked, that's scary to think that the game could have just flipped over and ended like that.
You should definitely do this on ladder when your opponent might not be paying particular attention.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know, when the casters start talking about what's happening in 2 weeks' time, maybe your opponent zones out. But in a tournament, definitely try it, see if they make the mistake. But they haven't made the mistake. They're just going to keep rolling till they get a 1-1 totem, I think, here.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out if it's safe to put Bane into the face. I think that Italy are going to have to just to bring this game to its conclusion sooner rather than later.
I don't know if they're in a hurry. They do have to worry about the second equality consecration, I guess. But I think they're going to keep rolling till they get the 1-1 totem, unless they get lethal set up.
To be honest, though, even equality consecration, it's hilarious that this 10-9 has Ancestral Spirit on it. So when it gets destroyed, it comes back as a 5-mana 10-10 with Taunt on the board.
Hilarious, he says. Spot the guy cheering on Italy.
Yeah. In order to continue to play around equality consecration, though, Yawgmoth is going to have to make sure that there's nothing left on the board. That means he might have to make some silly trades here. 10-10s going into 1-1s and that kind of thing.
Trying to think if there's a good reason to not take 4 more damage, other than why would you want to take 4 more damage. Paladin does do its damage in chunks of 4 sometimes with the True Silvers.
Right.
I guess that's the thing. A True Silver does represent 8. You're on 4, maybe you're on 8. Maybe some accident could happen.
If you're in the line of thinking where you're always going to have taunts remaining on the board, though, that's maybe not the biggest concern. Like, equality consecration right now would be still not enough to get rid of these taunts.
You just
another
killing everything. They're going to take the 4.
As long as they're not taking the 10.
Ping from below really helps them out here. It means that all the possible accidents in the world should sort it out. And
that was such a cheeky Eye for an Eye. If that worked, it would have been a moment to remember, I think.
Yeah, I think they're going to need some silence to go along with that.
Boom, boom are the sound that these Storm Guardians are going to make as they both connect to the face. I think putting Nefu down to 6. Oh no, wait, trading with the Murloc?
And he still represents lethal next turn.
Is he just being funny here?
Murloc can get poisoned from a Megasaur.
It's not enough. All right.
I mean, again, just things that go through your mind when you've got 24 attack on board include very strange thoughts sometimes.
But now, though, if there was... Oh, no, there'd have to be Megasaur and Equality and Consecration.
Right. Which is difficult, because they only have 2 cards.
It's unlikely, yeah. But Megasaur, hoping to get Poisonous, I guess. It's not going to be enough, even so. Maybe Taunt is the one they need. Does Taunt save Nefu for another turn? I think it does.
I hope it doesn't. At this point.
This game is going to go on for one more turn, Neil.
Nefu, give it up.
You mean give it up as in like round of applause, or?
Sure. Yeah, give it up for Italy.
They just beat you. Give it up for okay. No. Hey, there's the third one. I think you just play it for good measure, really.
Yeah. Actually,
there's
just actually no. Just actually, I'm just hoping Nafu, please Nafu, do it for us. Do it for Twitch chat. Do it for the casters.
There's still a 10-7 with Death Battle resummon itself, so there's no risk. Even a quality consecration is fine. A little bit of emote spam going on there. Not something we've seen a whole lot of in the Hearthstone Global games. Has Chile find a way of getting rid of one Storm Guardian?
Good.
Only 3 remaining.
Sometimes it's about the moral victories in life, and that Storm Guardian was obviously annoying him. And eventually, Italy finish off the game. It's 2-0.
Very impressive performance from, I think, the only N'Zoth Shaman that we've seen this week. Still continue to be surprised by the fact that we've seen so few Evolve Shamans.
Yeah, I didn't get the exact numbers from the recent events, but Shaman was right up there with the win percentages. I think it was top of the win percentages in the NA region.
Yeah, and just Shaman representation, it was 50-50 between Jades and Evolve, I believe. Approximately 50-50, right, with Jade Druid being slightly more common. Next game is going to be Topo Pablo on the Warrior versus Snowman on the Druid.
Yeah, Italy needing one more win from the next 3 games, and they will be through guaranteed to the next stage, which is stage number 2, because this is the first stage. And stage number 2, we'll only have 24 teams in it, and we'll start accelerating towards that grand final later in the year.
Now, Snowman is one of these players that juggles education with Hearthstone. I know that many people in Twitch chat right now are going to be there, where they're trying to play Hearthstone as many hours as you can fit into the day, but also having to get your homework in on time. I know that I've been there myself. Snowman,
20-word essay, guys. Get on with it.
Snowman's doing it. I just made sure I was writing essays about Hearthstone. That's how I got around it. Snowman is doing it very, very successfully. He's currently studying a master's in economics, so smart guy, and kicking butt in the Hearthstone Global games.
Yeah, it really is as well. It's just spectacular how some of these teams have come out and proved all the pundits wrong. I know Turkey is another team that, yes, I know they took a defeat, but they're another team that have really shown how good they are at this, and maybe they've been a bit overlooked. Italy doing it in style, though, just kicking us every week, and so, well, kicking me every week because they're your team.
According to Snowman's Twitter, according to his bio, he plays Hearthstone sometimes.
Is that his bio?
It's in his bio. It was when I checked, anyway.
He doesn't want to build a snowman, though, does he?
He is the snowman. He doesn't want to be built.
Okay.
Anyways, we can see the players getting ready. I don't think we've seen any players hanging out together today and actually playing side by side, unless you guys did in your game that you were casting.
Nothing struck me as such. No, a lot of people having to. They've had commitments. A lot of people. It's the last day of ladder, so a lot of people are wanting to be at their home comforts this one day.
Hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Nearly all the rest of the time, we have seen all the teams together.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of it yesterday. It's fun to see it, but you know, some of these countries are actually quite big as well. I mean, we wouldn't know. We live in the United Kingdom. We feel as though that's big, and it's really not.
Well, you can see how big some of these places are. Look at Northrend there. That's absolutely massive.
Northrend's pretty big, yeah.
There you go. That's enough role-playing for me.
You've never played World of Warcraft in your life, have you?
I have. I'm level 11.
Oh. Did you manage to get the Paladin hero?
I died a few times.
Getting to...
You've got to get to level 20.
No. Oh.
Get to level 20, guys.
Whew. Too far for you.
I'm so bad.
I had a great day doing that World of Warcraft the day after the announcement came out. It's like, great, I can... Because I want to play the new hero on stream later, I can call it my job today to get level 20 on World of Warcraft.
And I suppose you did it really quickly, didn't you? Because you're a role player.
Slower than most, unfortunately. I'm not very good.
I've got to admit, I'm a sucker for lore. I actually avoided Warcraft when I was younger, because I was younger a lot of the time as well. Just so I didn't actually get hooked, because the game is so good. It looked so amazing to me that I actually didn't play it because I was scared. I'm
one of the few people that I think managed to play it very casually for a number of years.
Right.
Very much enjoying it, but not getting too hooked into it.
I'd have been raiding a lot. I'd have been one of those guys who, if I did start doing it, I would have been doing it a lot of the time.
If only computers were around back in your youth.
Thanks.
Anyway, it's going to be Quest Warrior once again versus Snowman on the Aggro Druid. So going to be a fast game, this one way or another.
First time we've seen a crab today, I believe. Definitely not seen many. In fact, this weekend we have seen very few crabs. Obviously, we've seen slightly less paladins, so there's this rotation in the meta where people have realised that paladin is not being played quite as much. It's still being played quite a bit. And so the crabs are just being played slightly less, and that's the whole meta rotation balance I've been talking about.
Daily reminder, Neil, that it is Wednesday. That's about as far off of the weekend as you can.
Did I say weekend again?
We have a strange perception of time and weeks and things over here in the Hearthstone Global Games European studio.
No, everything's just a weekend to me. If I'm casting a tournament, it's the weekend. And 3-4 crab on turn 1. Doesn't need to eat anything, just gets buffed up.
Totem Golem without the coin even being played seems pretty good, and Topo Pablo's response to that is just play the quest, which is 1 mana, do nothing in this matchup, unfortunately. Snowman able now to make his crab even bigger and draw another card, or he could go wide and play Power of the World. Which do you think? Which do you prefer here?
I think because you draw the extra card, I don't see any real downside to just buffing the crab again. Obviously, it just could get Whirlwind executed and you've got no threats, but as it replaces itself, I think you just take the chance.
Also, the fact that Whirlwind coin execute would have to be the play there. That's a lot of resources that Chile would have to use up on the one thing. Hungry Crab might actually just have to do the trick here. It's going to block some of this damage, sort of. It's also going to open the gate for Snowman to play Power of the World, buff 2 minions, get a straight trade in with this Hungry Crab, and then also hit the face for 3 with the Raven.
Yeah, and this is going to nearly get there, but is it going to cross the finishing line? The living mana's already under control. The Brawl will sort that out. But is the crab just going to go all the way? Are Italy going to run away with it?
I do think this ends up helping. Oh my goodness, that pickup, Mark of the Lotus. Now if he wants to just play it as aggressive as possible, Snowman's got quite the easy Power of the Wild, Mark of the Lotus, trade, smack the face for 3. That just pushes so much damage, it creates such a wide, unstoppable force of a board.
I mean, he doesn't have to use the Power of the Wild at all. I think he will if he goes with that route, because Brawl is still 2 turns away, incredibly, even with the coin. And then, obviously, from Snowman's perspective, after the Brawl, he'll want to reload with Living Mana for the win. We can say, actually, there's another Brawl, so if Chile can get that far, maybe they can turn it around, because Italy will go for the Living Mana after the first Brawl.
I don't think this many stats is fair for turn 3, actually.
It's a lot of stats.
Just seems a bit unfair. I think if you're on Team Chile right now, you definitely think it's unfair, as eventually Team Italy go for the play that we described before. Crab, nice clean trade there. Raven gonna smack the face. Your turn, Topo Pablo.
Yeah, and what do you do? So you're going to coin Brawl next turn. You can't allow for the crab winning that. In all eventualities, you lose if that happens. How do you set it up? You can go for the Ravaging Ghoul just to give yourself an extra minion for that Brawl, because if that wins, you feel like you might win the game.
It would also maybe bait out a trade. Alternatively, this Fiery War Axe, which would deal with 1 minion, but still cause Chile to take a lot of damage. I think Ghoul has to be the only option here.
Yeah, Ghoul into Brawl. Sounds good. Doesn't look good.
13 damage, 14 with the hero power coming from Snowman next turn. Imagine if a Savage Roar was picked up by Snowman now, it would just end the game.
It really would, in no uncertain terms.
Time grows short now for Team Chile. Gonna go with the War Axe. Looks like they're going to wipe out the Panther, I imagine.
This gives them a chance to kill something after a potential Brawl as well. But
this also now isn't Savage Roar.
Right.
Murlocs as well. Not uncommon. It's not uncommon to see Murloc Wool Eater and 2 Bluegill Warrior in this deck along with Finja. Don't even know if Snowman has to play it here. I don't see why not.
I think you play it to get the Brawl out of your opponent's hand, and this is the one thing that could go wrong here.
Yep.
You play it to get the Brawl out, you play your Living Mana, they Brawl again, and maybe, just maybe, if Snowman picks nothing up in the meantime of any use in this aggressive deck that picks up useful aggressive cards all the time, maybe Chile could just somehow stabilize.
If the Crab wins the Brawl, though,
Yeah.
then it's pretty much good night for Chile. If the Raven wins the Brawl, it's not quite so bad. Raven's going to win the Brawl. Going to deal another 3 damage, 6 health. Okay. Okay. Chile actually do have a chance of stabilizing here. Bloodcell Corsair is 1 extra damage. It's going to bring out Patches next turn or whenever it's played.
And don't forget there's going to be 2 damage done by the one of these that does win the Brawl. Bloodcell Corsair and Patches is another 2 damage. The hero power is 1 damage. Anything, because they will have 5 mana available. Anything at all off the top of the deck pretty much wins the game.
Oh, Chile, you're going to stop and think about that for a second. Are they considering Bloodhoof Brave? Bloodhoof Brave would not allow Snowman to win the game immediately, but it would prevent him from really doing anything. He'd only have 1 mana, so it would be Bloodcell Corsair Patches, that's it. It would be 5 damage hitting the face. No, Topo Pablo going to go with the obvious play, it's the Brawl. I wonder which one survives.
This one here.
This one, yeah. 2, 3, 4 damage, I count. 2 off lethal. Hungry Crab, not the pickup Snowman needed to win this right now. And actually, Topo Pablo might stabilize. He can put down a taunt and armor up next turn. There's a chance.
Maybe, but now Italy don't have to ever play around Brawl again. Still in their deck is yet another living mana somewhere. There's likely a Bittertide Hydra or maybe a Finger. And first of all, this is a threat that could win the game. They're going to have Savage Roars, they're going to have Swipes. There's a lot of cards that Snowman can draw next turn to win this game.
Acolyte of Pain not going to do anything. It's just a little too slow. So Bloodhoof Brave is the one. Going to armor up.
And take your chance. What's going to come up?
That'll do it.
A Druid of the Claw. We saw that yesterday from the Philippines as well.
It's 1 off. It's 1 mana and 1 damage off lethal.
Oh, it's 1. It's chat lethal.
That's why I stopped for just a second there. Snowman threw it down instantly as if he'd seen the lethal, but it's not there.
Right. Still should be good. Just got to work out how you want to distribute your dying minions. You want to get rid of Patches unless you're playing yet another Crab, I guess, because you can just get Whirlwinded. There is also the option to just not attack into it at all. But he decides that having the wide board of multiple things to get rid of is actually the way forward.
Yep, only 1 health left for Topo Pablo as he picks up the second Acolyte of Pain. Not going to do anything. Direhorn Hatchling is the only play here, and it's just enough, isn't it?
Don't forget they can armor up.
Yeah, it's just enough with the armor up too.
So, same situation as last turn. Another turn bought from Chile here. Finger's not going to get it done.
Only thing that I'm thinking now, though, Finger comes down and Topo Pablo doesn't actually have a taunt to play next turn. So, yet. So, if a taunt is not picked up, then the Finger plus the hero power will just be lethal next turn.
So how do you go about doing this? Obviously you're playing Finger. Obviously you're bumping into this a few times. Pushing 2 to face. Yeah?
Okay. Good luck, Chile. Let's see what taunt you can pick up this turn. It's not a taunt. It's Sleep with the Fishes. Ravaging Ghoul plus Sleep with the Fishes does clear the board, though.
And they've got enough to armor up again.
What is going on?
They haven't got enough mana to do everything and armor up and Acolyte, so they are going to still be struggling. But they have still got a chance.
Yeah, but Snowman's outs are getting fewer and further between as time goes on. Swipe will still do it.
So would Savage Roar would still do it as well, but Vicious Fledgling is not good enough and it's going to get traded into. And Chile are starting to get into this.
That's probably the last turn in which Savage Roar on its own would have done it too. Another armor up will put a stop to that as long as the Vicious Fledgling gets destroyed, which it will. Dirty Rat is a cheap taunt that's going to be very, very strong here. Chile knows he's not pulling a minion out, so it's just a 2-mana 2/6 with taunt. That's just a well-statted taunt minion.
It really is.
Oh my
And
god.
now they're actually going to start drawing cards as well, and Topo Pablo's suddenly picked up in interest. There's still swipes available, probably. Corsair doesn't do it, though.
That's it. That's the last turn that Swipe would have been lethal too. If this game continues at the rate it has been, Snowman needs to pick up a second Living Mana or something big.
Yeah, Living Mana is still a threat for a little while, especially as now you're on 10. So you can play Living Mana and then Savage Draw the turn after if you have that combination. And there's no real hurry to get it, but Chile look like they have stabilized.
Slamming own Acolyte might be a temptation here, just to try and get through the deck a little bit more, pick up some more Taunt Minions, try and stabilize, get a little bit safer.
Yeah, one more Taunt Minion and they're going to start to feel comfortable. I think Snowman is down to needing either Swipe into Swipe or Living Mana into Savage Roar, or the other way around. You can wait. So he's got a few outs, but they're definitely diminishing. He has several turns in a row there with quite a few outs. Even Bittertide Hydra is probably still okay for a turn or two until that execute's found. Ali Armorsmith, and you have to deal with that. It does not gain the armor when it is damaged. It gains the armor when it deals damage. Yep. So if it's left unchecked, Chile will be gaining 4 armor per turn.
And Primordial Drake will just put a stop to any Living Mana that's picked up. I think, again, a phrase I'm going to use for the second time today, in the series even, by the skin of his teeth, Topa Pablo going to take this one away.
Definitely looking like it. I think we've got to wait maybe one more turn, but with no way to deal with that Ali Armorsmith, I don't see how Italy get out of this. They may even decide to just...
If they don't get out of it, they do what you were about to say, which is bottom right, buddy. Snowman, unfortunately, not able to get the 3-0, but Topa Pablo taking the first game of the series, looking rightfully happy about it. This could be the beginning of a reverse sweep. It's not, but it could be.
Well, what do you say about that one, Dan?
I say it's not the beginning of a reverse sweep. I say it was a very, that was one of the games where you're on the edge of your seat all the way through. Because, well, not all the way through. At the start, you're just like, Snowman's got this easy game. And then as soon as you see the glimmer of hope in Topa Pablo's eyes, the start of this comeback, then you just can't take your eyes off of games like that. I loved it.
Yeah, exciting stuff there. And again, at any point there, all those decisions made, do you keep Buffy the Crab? Do you charge in the Druid of the Claw, make a 4-6? All of those decisions had an impact on that game. And just that one extra point is the sort of game you watch over and over to try and find out if you could have finished it some other way.
Now, Inovan coming up next for Team Italy is actually the anchor. This guy grinds a lot. He's had a lot of top 100 finishes. Don't have the exact number, I just have a lot of top 100 finishes in Snowman's words, and I think the guys on the team really respect him and look up to him.
Yeah, he started to get into the Championship Tour events as well now. I think last year, for whatever reason, either he didn't play them or he maybe hadn't grinded quite enough points, but now he is a player that is coming to the fore. And I've just got a feeling about Inovan, we're going to be hearing a lot more of him. He did play this Finja Paladin with Ragnaros, and basically Murloc Paladin, what we saw earlier from Russia with Finja, Ragnaros in the other day. He played that at the Championship Tour event, and he went some score somewhere in the middle. I don't actually remember, if I'm perfectly honest.
So in the middle.
There you go.
3-3, 4-2, something like that.
Notes don't say. Bad notes.
Bad notes. Naughty notes.
But he's a player, I remember when I was going through earlier, double checking. It's like, oh, this is a guy I've missed. Why have I missed him? And actually last year he didn't do a great deal apart from slowly get his name known on ladder, and then this year he's just starting to motor through the ranks a little bit.
On the other side of things, got to confess, I don't know all that much about Machine, who's going to be playing the Rogue coming up next game. Yeah,
Machine, I've seen his name around once or twice, but he is a player that I don't know that much about either. I think he played at WSG Americas, but didn't top 8 it, so that means he won the Chile qualifiers to get there, I think. There was also a South American qualifier, so maybe he won that as sort of for all the leftover countries. But I think Chile was big enough to get their own one. So he has won at least something to get there. But yeah, that's about all I've got on him, I'm afraid.
Very keen to make his own way onto the scene. He wants you to have more notes about him in your flashy
For sure.
A lot of these smaller players do. And this is something that the Hearthstone Global Games is a great opportunity for them to get to do as we load up game number 4 of the series.
I'll tell you who does know about Machine. That's Zalay.
Huh?
who he beat there.
Ah.
Chile was out of that event and got beat by Machine.
No, you know what I know about Machine? He's playing Miracle or Plant Rogue right now, as we see Happy Sherazin smiling at us.
Happy Sherazin indeed, not coming off those portals though.
No, not quite.
With the Vile Spines, this probably means there aren't giants. It doesn't 100% mean that, so it is the deck that I sometimes refer to as Garden Rogue. And this deck is basically a form of Miracle, but a little bit more aggressive than the giant version.
Got to quickly mention, as you brought up Matt Dixon, the artist earlier, he's the guy that also designed Sherazin.
Right.
And I had to get myself a print of Sherazin off of him.
Oh, did you get a nice one?
I got Sherazin and I got the Seed, 2 different prints. Very
He's
nice.
a good man to talk to, I hear.
Yeah, he's great. He doesn't really have too much information to give.
He does. He just doesn't give it.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently the next expansion's got a very cool theme.
Well, he's going to say that.
Yeah, because he's one of the artists, but that's about as much information as we could squeeze out of him. Let's go. Patches and Swashbuckler coming down turn 1. Swashbuckler hasn't been seen much in Quest Rogue over the last few days, but definitely appearing in Miracle Rogues.
Right, so I was going to say here that the Rogue has a very tough time here, mainly because it can't defend itself against the onslaught of spells to the face. Not only that, but as we see there, Ice Block kind of makes it difficult for them to kill their opponent. Maybe, just maybe, picking up this counter spell, however, can be used as a temporary block. Maybe they could play the counter spell at the right time to defend against 10 Pyroblast damage and hold it for the whole game.
I find whenever I'm playing this matchup, if I'm playing as the mage, it's the secrets that really annoy me. Like, they're the cards that can really catch you off guard, especially Ice Block. I used to find in Freeze Mage versus Miracle Rogue, when I say used to, I mean the first few weeks of this expansion, I used to find that the mage was like 100%, not 100% favored, like very heavily favored unless there was an Ice Block. And if there's an Ice Block, if the rogue gets that extra turn they need, where the mage can't just survive through damage and then win with burn, then the mage can actually take it away quite easily. Sorry, the rogue can actually take it away quite easily because of the Ice Block. Counterspell also can be, you do some very sneaky things. That could take away Innoven's Ice Block.
Right, and the secrets are just really difficult to play around because they are random secrets. You know what the pool of secrets is, obviously, but you always get this feeling, hang on, that's just going to be Ice Block. And then you always play around that as one of your first choices, and if it's not, you've got to be very, very careful. Italy valuing getting some board here, putting down the Valet onto a non-secret board, even with Ice Block in their hand, which means they're trying to curve out very aggressively here.
Right. Counterspell might have to just be the play this turn. Mimic Pod might be tempting as well. It depends if he feels as though he needs more threats in his hand.
I wonder if they won't play the Counterspell because they've just seen the Valet. Maybe they feel that perhaps there's a chance that Italy don't have a secret in their hand to counter right now. Nope, they're going to
play it anyway. I guess it doesn't matter too much if you counter a secret or if you counter something else. But now, Innoven gonna have to consider whether he can risk playing this Ice Block.
Courier is just such an easy play here because if it's a mirror entity, you can deal with the 2/2 body of the Courier and not give away the battle cry. That is not how the secret works, and you can get all the benefits from this and test for a secret in the process. This is just a perfect minion to have in their hand right now.
More secrets can be popping up. Cabal Chemist, not a card we see very often. None of these are very good picks. Cabal Chemist might actually be the one.
I mean, this deck's all about discovering stuff and putting more stuff in your hand until you've got enough stuff to stuff people. So you might as well.
And now it's all about some potion stuff as the Cabal Chemist gets played next turn. I keep saying Chemist for some reason. I don't know what a Chemist is.
He's like a cab alchemist.
Ah.
Makes taxis.
Cabal Chemist, okay. Mimic Pod and Swashbuckler look like the only playable cards here. Hallucination's fine too. I guess you could start with the Swashbuckler and see what you get.
Yeah, I think you go for the random effect first if you are going that way, unless you want to play the Vile Spine, which I don't think you do. Yeah, play the Swashbuckler first, see where you are, then your Hallucination, where you actually have a choice in the matter, you have as much information as possible. Obviously, Mimic Pod, they'll be going through their minds, hey, we need some stuff. There's some good things we can get from a Mimic Pod right now, and then we can prepare for an auctioneer later.
One of the Key things about this matchup that can change how well the Rogue performs is where in the deck Sherazin Corpse Flower is situated. I was a little bit surprised to see Machine throw it away, honestly, because if Sherazin's at the bottom of the deck, it pretty much does nothing. And I just saw you raise your eyebrows there, Neil. I'm not surprised. This is a strange play.
Yeah, I was actually raising my eyes a little bit about the Sherazin as well, but this is interesting too. They decided they're going to get the tempo back and fight for the board because they see that Italy's strategy is let's get the board because playing its Miracle Rogue, that's the traditional way to do it. But because they're the Burn Mage, the Discover Mage, or whatever Mage, they're the Burn Mage in this matchup.
Yeah.
Maybe Chile feel that there's not much burn in the Italian hand compared to normal and that fighting for the board is even more important than usual.
Yeah, where I was going with the Sherazin earlier was if Sherazin's picked up by Mimic Pod, not this time, but that can just be devastating because you get 2, 3, 5/3s every time you're reviving the cards.
Right.
You just get them back on the board, both of them, not just one. And that's so much pressure if you get it early, especially if you get 2 of them. More discoveries going on here, though. Ice Barrier is another secret. Kirin Mage not going to do much. Polymorph,
well,
maybe?
So, yeah, it's interesting, right? Because the Kirin Mage is a 4/3. That's all it is, but they don't have anything to do right now. The Polymorph is very defensive, but I'm not sure how much time you have to be defensive against this Mage deck.
Right.
So there was definitely an option to play the 4/3 or take the 4/3 there, given that you can clear this board up with these backstabs. Obviously, it does just die to a Frostbolt or a Medivh Valet, though.
Now then, Innovan.
Oh, just look at this damage building up. They don't need to do much.
I wonder if he tries playing Potion of Madness first, just to bait out that secret. Because that secret is the only thing, I think, slowing him down at the moment. And Potion of Madness is the cheapest way to test for it. He knows it's not Mirror Entity, so you can start with the Mana Worm.
Yeah, if it's Spellbender, that's fine then as well, right? So it tests for 2 things in one go.
Spellbender, you can then trade it and then play Volcanic Potion to clear the whole board.
Yeah.
Going to start with Mana Worm, though.
So that does seem to imply they're going to play Mana Worm, then Potion, then Ping, and just have a bit of an awkward turn and leave a 2/3 versus nothing. Except they're not because it's going to get countered, but that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Mana Worm still gets its buff. Volcanic Potion's going to be a consideration here, though it does mean almost killing your Mana Worm. Maybe it's just not worth it. It's only a 3/2 and a 1/1 on the board. You just ping the 1/1 away and just let the minions trade.
Yeah, ping the 1/1, and then the choice for Chile is to trade, which you're fine with, or to not trade and kill the Mana Worm some other way, in which case you just play your Volcanic Potion and your Ice Block and sit around for a turn or 2, picking up damage. You're only 9 off lethal already.
Yep. Something very nice that Innovan's got going for him as well is that he's got the Polymorph in hand ready for an Edwin Van Cleef, ready for the first Arcane Giant, or maybe even ready for Sherazin Corpse Flower. 12 damage in hand, though. Machine's turns are more numbered than he might expect them to be.
Yeah, he seems like he's in a decent spot in some ways, but he just isn't. I assume he'll backstab and face tank this 2 damage, start pushing damage to face. He has got just so little board. And this is what I meant when I said about the Kirin Tor earlier instead of the Polymorph. How's this Polymorph going to win him the game? I mean, it could. If it kills a 7/7 minion, it can win him the game. Yeah. But I think the time's a bit more limited than that, and I think he could realise that against a Discover Mage.
Machine gonna just face tank this 2 damage though, down to 19 now. Double Fireball is 12, that would put Machine down to 7. Machine only needs a tiny bit more damage.
He does. It's not entirely obvious to see where Innovan's going to get this damage from though. He has no way of cycling through his deck at the moment. Really does not want to Fireball this 3/6. We might just see him Polymorph it to buy some time. Time is what he needs right now.
Alternatively, he can just plonk his minions on the board. He could go Gluttonous Ooze and Mana Worm.
Right.
Destroys the weapon, gains an armor as well. Not that that's the most relevant thing in the world. Ping the face. It means that Chile have got to then make the trade, and he's sort of bought himself an extra turn that way. I don't imagine the Mana Worm picking up much value any other way.
Have we seen either Frostbolt? I don't think we have.
No, I think you're right.
2 Frostbolts, 2 Glyphs, 1 Pyro left. That's 5 cards out of the... how many turns we have? 7, so something like 20 cards left. About a quarter of his deck is decent burn.
Double Firelands Portal, also pretty good
that's
burn.
Another 5, that's plenty, sure. If any minion ever hits face, he just wins this game.
But again, Chile has the opportunity to get an ice block from a hallucination, and just buying him that extra turn can be relevant. Healing from hallucination, also a possibility in the form of ice barrier, though it's not consistent. There's Sharazan.
All right.
Not going to come down just yet.
Sharazan, yeah, not the greatest when you're in this situation, like you were saying earlier. Just because they're too busy trying to force minion damage through. He is, of course, 5/3, but probably not going to get revived without wasting your cards.
Arcanologist.
Arcanologist is going to at least thin out the deck, which gives you more chance of drawing that burn. That's one of the important stops here.
Extra ice block is also an extra turn. And do you know what? An extra ice barrier right now is also looking like an extra turn.
Yeah, and it's also an extra buff on your mana worm, which means that even if the mana worm just gets munched up, that's one more turn that you're not being hit in the face for, because you're just going to win this with burn to the face.
So to sum up, Innovan can play 2 minions on the board. A machine only has 1 minion on the board to deal with. He can put an ice block or ice barrier down on the board, which buffs one of the minions and also buys him extra time. The one thing that Innovan can't do in addition is ping. He's actually going to just fireball. Okay, sure.
He feels that these minions are worth more than 6 damage in the long run. He may well be right.
One of them is going face at least this turn. Or this next turn even.
Yeah. So that's an instant 2 damage, plus he's got every reason to believe that, you know what, if my opponent's got removal spells, that's real cards that he hasn't got, like minions on the board that he needs right now that he hasn't got.
Hilariously, if Chile is going to deal with this mana worm, he might need to polymorph it, and he may just decide that's not worthwhile. Let's see what hallucination picks up.
He's the summoner.
Servant of Yogg-Saron.
Yeah.
Our eyes just jumped to very different cards there. Gonna go with the face.
You just saw the word Yogg, and there you were.
I did. This is far more sensible.
Well, you say that. I mean, a random 5 spell is, someone did the math on Reddit. Hi, guys. And it's pretty good, but this is also pretty good.
I was about to say to you, I don't know the statistics on 3 drops getting taunt, but that is definitely one of them. And Finance Portal's not looking too bad as a way of countering it. So Portal deals with the minion, 5 damage gets pushed to the face, plus 3 minions the machine have to deal with. Seems pretty juicy to me.
I think we may see the polymorph, just so you can keep the Finance Portal for face damage.
Okay.
So polymorph for 3/5, then you go face with these 2 minions, which is still 5. Drop your secret, so that's another damage, and then you've got 2 turns just to finish it off with Firelands and Fireball.
Yep, you're right. That makes a lot of sense too. Is there any other downsides to playing the Finance Portal? He could get corrupted to heal bot, which potentially Chile could deal with and heal himself back up again.
Yeah, I think we'll see at the polymorph when they've reasoned it all through.
Taking their time though, Italy not taking their time for granted, going to talk through everything. Do the math as we have just done, and yep, come to the conclusion, like you said, polymorph, ice block, push 6 damage to the face.
And that's it. That's 2-turn lethal. So unless machine can proc the block right now, it's going to be Fireball ping, Firelands ping, or any combination of those that you fancy.
I think anything could happen now with that Gadgets and Auctioneer. They're picking Questing Adventurer.
I mean, it's great last turn.
Yep.
So great this turn.
No. Razor Petal, Lasher, going to be another card draw. May decide to play the Polymorph instead now on that Mana Worm. Looking like a sad Polymorph either way. Every time we've come up with a suggestion for this Polymorph, it's always been a 1-mana card. It's always been a Mana Worm. And it looks like it finally hits target, though Machine out of spells now. Gonna have to pass the turn back over to Innoven.
Yep, 6 and 7 is 13, so Firelands ping, Fireball ping will do it. No reason to do anything else. There's almost never healing in the deck. There's no random cards in the hand for Chile, which could be terrifying. And Italy just will still want to do it just in case there's like an Earthen Ring Farseer for some reason in the deck. Always go back to this when you're in a guaranteed 1 position. Play around all of Hearthstone.
And again, that means not starting with the Firelands Portal because of the corrupted heal but punish we mentioned earlier. Fireball plus ping will be the way to start this. You could play Primordial Glyph, though Ice Barrier seems just fine to me as well.
Yeah, I mean, do what you like. But yeah, Ice Barrier does make the sense. It's the one that's most likely to buy you that 1 additional turn if absolutely required.
Chile are able to get some spells, so dig through their deck a little bit. Thanks to the Gadget and Auctioneer, though, this game looks pretty darn over to me.
I can see absolutely no way back from this. Chile just going through the motions of drawing every card. Maybe they get a card that gives them some health randomly. I can't even see what it would be, but no reason to not go for it.
Dig, dig, dig. Fan of Knives, dig some more.
And it does just keep digging.
Well, at least we're going to get to see the entirety of Machine's deck before he eventually concedes. Edmund Van Cleef even unplayable unless a counterfeit coin
He
gets
has
picked
got
up.
Giants in here as well, so
Wow!
I feel like he's in a good spot, but it's not a good spot. It's a spot where he's about to lose.
A smile on Innoven's face.
Yeah. Just going through, guys. Italy are going to go to 4-0, and no caster in their right mind picked this at the start, and maybe all the casters in their right minds were wrong.
I picked it, just not at the start.
That's exactly what I just said.
All right. Well, big congratulations to Innoven and Team Italy. Going to take the series guaranteed spot through now, if they didn't have it before, to stage 2 or phase 2 of the Hearthstone Global Games. Big thumbs up from Innoven. Great series.
Yeah, Innoven, obviously a player we've talked about a bit, trying to make his name a little bit stronger, and all of these wins that he is gathering are just going to add to that. Into phase 2, that's 3 more matches guaranteed in that phase, plus they've still got a match in this to try and be the first team to 5-0. They take on Israel. Let me find that quickly, on June the 13th.
As time goes on as well, it's becoming more and more of an accolade, I think, because all of these huge mammoth teams like Russia and Ukraine, I think, and Canada have failed to finish as... Have Ukraine gotten their loss yet?
Ukraine are 4-0, actually.
Oh, therefore, my bad.
Kulento discussed it at length last week.
Yes, my apologies. Not Ukraine. Ukraine can still do it. But the other teams that I just mentioned, they failed to get their 5th win. They failed to go 5-0 in the group. So first team to do that, it's going to be quite an achievement, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just going 5-0 also gets you that good seeding, which means you don't have to play against those other mammoth names. If you're the #1 seed in your group, you're more likely to have to play against the more middling teams.
Right, well, once again, we're going to have a quick chat with Snowman and talk through that series. Hey, Snowman, congratulations once again for getting your 4th win in the Hearthstone Global Games. How are Team Italy feeling right now?
Yeah, we're feeling pretty great. 4-0, clean score.
So looking forward to phase 2 of the competition?
Yeah, I mean, now we can definitely say we are through to the next step. So, yeah, we're pretty happy to pick up this win.
Did you think it was lethal when you dropped that Druid of the Claw in Game 3?
No, I knew I was one off.
Cool. It just looked quick.
Like the thing is, I was super happy because that put us in a extremely good position. Yeah. So I was really, I mean, if you saw like the next 4 turns, whatever he did, we would have had a bunch of outs. Yeah. Like 4 turns in a row, we just needed either 1 or 2 damage, and then the 5th turn we also had the swipe out. So I mean that was pretty unlucky from that point on. We drew very, very well in the first turn, so that was definitely lucky. But then we were in a, like, I think 80-20, maybe more favorable position than that, we managed to lose that one because the deck kept us trolling with the vicious fledglings instead of the swipes instead of the 1 swipe and the 1 claw that we were planning to play. So that choice came back to haunt us, but.
It was incredibly close. We just wondered about the lethal because you made the play so quickly that we thought it was lethal at first, and then realized pretty quickly that it's not. We wondered if you'd gone through the same thing, but
no. I mean, I have like 500, maybe more games with that deck.
Right. Sure, yeah. Obviously, I realise you guys are good. Don't worry about that.
Obviously, just the best play regardless. Then, now talk me through. How Team Italy have kind of developed over the last few weeks. Obviously, you've been winning games right from the start, whereas some teams have started weak and grown better as their communications improved. Do you think Team Italy have had it right from the start?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we are all part of the same team, Atrax, so we already played some stuff together. in event, especially like we play together all the time, and then also with Turn and Yawgmoth, there's a very good synergy, I'd say. So we knew that we had, like, from that point of view, a competitive advantage over the other teams. But then also there are some really, really good players, like individually notable players in other teams. So we knew that we had to compensate the gap maybe between all the past achievements with the teamwork, and so far it's working pretty well.
Well,
Sure is.
thank you for your time, Snowman. Go and enjoy your win and get prepared, I guess, for your 5th game in Phase 1. Maybe you'll be the first team to go 5-0 in the groups.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice, but it's just icing on the cake at this point.
Right.
Cool.
We'll catch you later. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Awesome. Feeling confident, feeling happy, and feeling like they've got great team synergy. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, that was interesting to hear, actually. If you're playing a lot of games with Innovin, Innovin's playing a lot of games with Snowman, those two guys are good at the moment. Snowman has also played his fair share of HCT, a lot of it last year, and so those guys will be, pretty powerful if they're playing a lot of games of Hearthstone together.
But as we look back at the anomalous that looked like a pretty good swing turn from Chile, in fact, this game was so close with the Warrior. Turner just able to take it at the end of this game with the hero power, proving us wrong for saying that maybe we'd have considered throwing out the quest. I guess against Discover Mage, it's just so powerful a win condition. That's right, he was just able to get enough armor thanks to that Armor Smith into Sleep with the Fishes. It was such a close game.
Yeah, this game was not so close. This game rumbled on a bit, but this volcano was the beginning of the end. And then just a million white eyes later, the game did actually reach its conclusion with the N'Zoth pickup.
It got a little bit rocky, I think, in the middle of the game. But yeah, the more the game went on, the more Chile ran out of resources. Nefu, you could see the hope draining from Nefu's face, especially when that N'Zoth came down a few turns later. Halaziel into Maelstrom Portal. We were waiting for the Maelstrom and the Volcano. That wasn't even necessary for Yawgmoth there. He was able to do the deed without even playing that Volcano just yet.
Chile did a good job holding on to that equality for a long time. It did mean that the game was elongated significantly at the end there, where Italy had to just make sure not to do anything silly.
And this was pretty silly.
But this was pretty silly.
As the 3rd Storm Guardian picked up in hand, one of them on the board had an Ancestral Spirit on it, was going to revive itself when it died. There it is doing that. Nefu giving up the Ghost there.
This brawl basically was one of the many outs that Italy had on their side over several turns here. Even if the brawl had gone in the way, they've got the extra damage through, but they didn't win the brawl, they didn't draw the cards they needed. Apparently they did drop a swipe though for one of the cards they picked up, so that would have been an out that they could have had they not changed their deck structure.
Unfortunate. Vicious Fledgling trolling them, as Snowman said. And the final game was the Miracle Rogue with a valiant effort there. 3 Arcane Giants appearing at the last possible moment, but too late. There's still a nice block down for Italy. There's still a nice barrier down, and Firelands Portal plus ping there and ready to end the game.
Yeah, and nothing to add to that. Firelands Portal perfectly played there. Bosh, and hey, there's a way of dealing with a lot of 2-2s.
I would have dealt 2 more damage as well. If the Firelands ping wasn't enough, then Abomination would have been.
Italy finding their way to 4-0, Dan. You're looking very smug.
I'm feeling good about it. Looking forward to watching my team play in Phase 2 of the competition. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's take one last look at Group E today. Italy reigning supreme with a 12-5 game record. That is a good record.
And they still have to play Israel, as do Chile. So Israel's fate may depend on Italy trying to get that 5-0 record. And Norway now are qualified. We mentioned that at the start of the show, but now that's absolutely clear. Just because there's no way that both of the remaining teams who can catch them on games can actually go past them. But now it's not even a thing anymore because Chile didn't even win.
Yep. It just doesn't matter. Chile seem pretty wiped out to me. But let's move on. There's one more game coming today, and it's one of the most exciting ones, at least for me. I was looking forward to this one that we've just had, but now it's going to be the Netherlands versus United Kingdom. You don't want to miss this one. We'll see you in a few minutes.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything. And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake, we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into Ongoro Crater.